Hi, I'm Linda Thackeray, and I have the absolute pleasure of introducing Christy Foster from Utah, USA. Christy and I are going to be co-facilitating a 10-day online intensive psychosomatic training. And we thought we'd tell you a little bit about the training. You're also going to see snippets of us explaining on different days why you should do psychosomatic training, what the benefits are. But this one is actually to tell you a little bit more about the training itself. So over to you, Christy.
All right, thank you, Linda. One of the main reasons we have an online training is because of COVID. COVID created a huge shift in our world, and it actually is very positive on our end in that we have been able to create an online training so you can actually take the course, the first part of this learning from your home. And it's going to be an amazing training. So I'm excited to go through and talk a little bit about what you're going to get inside of the training of psychosomatics. So I am going to share my screen. And let's see. Okay, Linda, you'll have to let me share.
That would be helpful.
That's all right. There we go. Thank you. Okay, so here we are. So we have a landing page that you can come and take a look through, take your time. And if you have any questions, you can still ask us this, but we're going to go through and talk about each module and what's within the module and what you'll be learning. So we have professional and personal benefits. So it doesn't matter what your professional line of work is, you are going to use this. If you are in the field of any type of alternative healthcare, working with clients, this will exponentially make your business grow because people are going to feel like you understand them on a very different level and see them. And you're actually going to learn how to see clients differently than you ever have before, based on their face, their language, and their body. So that is very, very helpful. So the first part of the training is really the foundation of psychosomatics, where it comes from, the new paradigm of thinking. So understanding how emotions are stored in the body and the research and the science behind that. I think the most amazing thing, I am very much a science-based thinking person, and I appreciate that science really has caught up to this information that's been around for quite some time. But now they're able to prove that an emotion actually does show up in the cellular body. And so this first day about psychosomatics is teaching you where it comes from. We'll talk about Herman Mueller, who was actually the founder of psychosomatics and systematizing the process that you're going to be going through. And whatever business you have, this piece of consultation and client history is going to be very valuable because we're going to give you a step-by-step process that you can walk your clients through and in a very safe way so that you can communicate what they're looking for, how you might see that, and a really clear idea of what psychosomatics will be able to offer them. And then we'll move to numerology in the body.
So with the numerology, what's really fascinating when you come to this subject is how well numerology maps directly with maybe some challenges that you can sometimes experience in the body. So we take a look as an example at, say, the throat chakra, which is a really common chakra to be out of balance. And when we say chakras, we're talking about energy centers. So this energy center is all about communication, speaking up. And when we take a look at it in the numerology, we see that it's about sensitivity of expression. So sometimes people are a little bit afraid to speak up. And again, when we see it in the numbers and we see it as a pattern in somebody's life, it starts to create the question of, is the more to the body than what we actually realize, and more to the experiences that we have and some of the challenges that show up. So the numerology also sort of helps people shift some of the traditional ways of understanding challenges and actually take them as life lessons, that this is actually something to be mastered. And that itself is quite empowering. So we go through all parts of the body and the numerology, which is different to the standard style of numerology as well.
Yeah, you will love the numerology. It gives you a wonderful map of how you came into the planet with your birthday. And then we move down to face reading analysis, the portrait of your life. So with face reading, the face holds all the energy centers that the body holds. And so you're going to learn how to read a face. You're going to have your face read, and it will be it's very interactive learning. So you're going to be writing and analyzing many faces. So you're going to have a plethora of examples to practice on, so you can start catching what each face represents, and it will become second nature to you because you're going to practice a lot. And that's really what I love about this training, is the interaction with the teacher and the other students to do the learning. And the face reading, you will use this the rest of your life. It's one of those things that once you learn, you can't shut that off. And it will be, you're going to use it in your business, your work, and your relationships more than I can ever explain. And the value behind that is so massive, because it creates such a different type of lens and compassion than you'll ever experience, because it tells the truth of who people are, how they understand themselves, how they see the world, how you see the world. And it helps to take out so much conflict of why you don't feel understood or why they can't understand you. This is the magic and the beautiful piece of face reading. So I think it's one of my most favorite components of psychosomatics. And then we move down into the theory of the body-mind analysis, the blueprint of the soul.
Great. Thanks, Christy. Just before we go on to that, also with face reading, no matter what the motivation is with face reading to learn it, some people, as an example, they might turn around and say, why should I come and learn face reading? Surely people know themselves, that they don't need to have a face reading. And there's some common things that you see sometimes when people have the gift of being able to put their thoughts into action really quickly. And the challenge of it will be that they may not actually see the gifts that other people have, and can get frustrated and angry with them. So as we start to take a look at the face reading, even if you're an incredibly confident person, good at communicating, you will gain from learning how other people process, and to be able to see the world through the lens that person is presenting. I also really enjoy when I see people that are really sensitive to the world, when they can look at somebody's face, and when that person speaks to them and is a little bit too harsh and a little bit too direct, and they would normally be really offended by, that they can just look at the face and go, bigger picture, facts, figures, information, no judgment, lacking sensitivity. I don't need to be offended by that person. I can just accept those qualities for where they're at. So I just wanted to add that too.
Yeah, thank you, Linda.
So in the theory behind the body-mind analysis, this is normally a day that requires people to be physically present. So what we've taken out is the theory, and we're going to be giving you lots and lots of different examples of how the emotions are stored in the body, so that you get an idea of how to read that before eventually, if you decide to go on and do the level 2 training face-to-face, so that you've already got a really good grounding for how this information comes together. So that's what's covered in the theory behind the body-mind analysis.
this theory behind the body mind analysis is probably one of, well, sounds like they're all my favorite. This is one of my favorites because I see people, I've been in private practice for almost 3 decades now, and I see how the responses of fight or flight, freeze, store in the body over a period of time. And sometimes that can make people feel so stuck because they're not aware of that unconscious patterning. And this is such a valuable tool to make us aware, and give us another path of how we can move to the next piece of our growth. Yeah. And feel safe in that movement. So that is another one of my favorite pieces. Oh, see, and here's another one, emotional anatomy and archetypes. Also, I am such a nerd with archetypes, and the archetype is an energetic pattern. So all our bodies have an archetype. We each have a specific body type. And this in psychosomatics is, we will look at many different body types and understand the archetype that belongs to that body type. So just like the face, as Linda was saying, someone's highly sensitive has a very specific space, and someone who's analytical and pretty straightforward, they don't mix words, also has a different face shape. Body types are very similar. And so you're going to be learning interactively with us about different body types, what that means, how the energy shows up, where they might feel stuck, where you might feel stuck, because this work is definitely about you and the people you see. So that's the emotional anatomy and archetypes, is understanding where the emotions are stored, what the archetype, the pattern looks like in the body that is unconscious for most people. So that's our module 6. And then we come into the feet, the soul connection of the feet.
So just before we come to the soul connection of the feet, just like to also add, like throughout the process, we give you tools to actually work with making changes. And, you know, one of the questions that sometimes gets asked is about being judgmental. And it's almost like as soon as you put yourself into a box, it's like a doorway opens to that box, and then you're actually shifting and changing. So it's never about trying to put somebody into a box and put a label on them. It's about creating awareness. So as they kind of recognize those characteristics, they can also have an openness for different choices. So we often see quite major changes in how a person looks, not only in their physical form, like the body form, but also the face. It can make significant changes as well. When we come to the connection of the feet, the soul connection of the feet, we're looking at the energy flow and the distribution that comes through the feet. Again, we're looking at the energy centers and how well grounded and connected a person actually feels. When we consider things like the fight and the flight response, this is not just a response that you may have in the upper part of your body. It actually goes down to all parts of you, your hands, your feet, your jaw. Every part of the body is aligned. So here we're going to look at the individual meanings of all the different toes. And so when a toe starts to lift or, you know, move in a different direction, what that would actually mean for a person. And once you've got that information, like, what do you actually do with that information? So it's actually about creating that awareness towards creating change. Christy, do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, I think because I'm looking at people's feet every day and how they stand, even the direction, just a little piece, the direction that our feet point in when we walk and stand is very beneficial to understanding how you process and how other people might understand and process. So each part of the body is going to educate you and give you a map once again of how people understand you and how you might better understand them. And the feet are a really good indication of that.
And of course, when we look at the feet, also the hands, we're starting to look a little bit at body language as well. And whilst body language is in like the more advanced levels of training, at this stage, when we look at things like what Christy was saying, the point of the feet, you know, you might be socially out with somebody that you've just met and you might like to leave, but consciously you're looking at that person. What we start to notice is the feet start heading towards the exit. And, you know, so when we're looking at the feet direction, we're looking at where the energy is going and what, you know, whether it's congruent energy pointing forward, moving forward, or actually if there is a slight leak that goes with that energy, maybe being in two minds or wanting to be somewhere else.
Yeah, lots of information in the feet. So much information. And then you will learn about the hands. So the hands are an extension of your heart. And you're going to learn what your hands look like, what they mean, down to each digit in your hand. And there's quite a few different hand shapes and finger types. And we're going to go through all of that. So you will understand the hand shapes and their meaning and how emotions can get stored in the hands and what that looks like. And or if you're feeling depleted, that will also show up in the hands. Just like in the feet, every part of our body is going to teach you something about you.
And I love the hands in terms of the body language as well. One of the things that I use all the time when I'm doing speaking engagements and different trainings, or whether it be with students, when I notice that this finger, the index finger, comes across the mouth. And as soon as I see that in psychosomatics, it's the judgment finger. And when it stops the mouth from speaking, there is some withheld judgment or a different opinion that that person is having. So it's a really great opportunity when you see that to actually ask the person, so you have a different opinion, or would you like to share what it is that you're actually thinking? So as we start to get more comfortable with learning about what each of the individual fingers mean, when they start to move in different ways, they're already starting to tell a story. And there's so much of our language that is nonverbal. So we really get to explore this at a much greater depth and insight than just simply, this means that the person is withholding communication. You actually get to understand what that finger represents as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so much in that, and in handshakes.
Mm-hmm.
And what you'll understand also handshakes and how people hold their hands when they're standing. There's so much that gives us an in-depth look at the body and the emotions of the body. Okay, and the next one is emotional components to psychosomatic diseases.
So this is a really fascinating area, and it's still one which is being explored, I think, sometimes in the medical area. So for me, when I look at psychosomatic disease, I'm looking at the emotional component to illness and challenges that a person has in their body. And again, like I said before, it's not about making something fit for a person. It's basically to explain what that emotional component could mean for them. And realistically, most people know from an emotional perspective what's occurring, but they don't map it with the body tensions and the body challenges. So in the West, what we tend to do, or a lot of people tend to do, when there is a pain, they'll take a tablet rather than say, what is my body trying to communicate with me? So all the way through psychosomatics, we're looking at your body being your vehicle, and it's constantly communicating with you what's out of balance. So we're getting you to reconnect with what's actually occurring. I'll quite often get people to draw their body tensions and pains in the various parts of their body, even before sometimes I'll start a full consultation. And then I will explain to them, based on what they've described their pain as, that this is the emotional component to that tension. And it really gets their attention because they already know those things are occurring emotionally for them even before the consultation starts. So it's a great portal for thinking about pain in a different way, changing your relationship with pain. Instead of thinking that your body is attacking you, actually asking, you know, how is my body trying to support me, and what is it that I might be challenged listening to?
Yeah. Boy, and that's such a valuable preventative way
Yeah,
to look at the body.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's a very valuable one. And this is what's next in your psychosomatic journey. So after the online portion, we will talk about, there's an in-person portion that is a level 2, which is about becoming a practitioner. And so within the training, you will learn exactly what that is and how to get your certificate in face reading, hand reading, foot reading, and the psychosomatic full practitioner certification. So we really hope you join us. Please feel free to ask us any questions. You can message us, or email works just as well. And we hope to see you in the future in our trainings, because it's going to change your life. It has changed mine and many people that I've met along the way.
So from me as well, look forward to having you join us. If you've got questions, please send either Christy or I a message. We'll include that in the link as well for you to contact us. So
yes, and thank you, Linda. So good to see you.
You too, Christy. See you again.